make some homemade chili, and we're going to can it. Now we'll dice up half of this onion and we'll put it in the pot with olive oil and some garlic. We have our garlic in there. Now we're going to put these onions in there, the diced onions, and let them simmer a little bit. Now I'm adding in 5 pounds of hamburger meat, and this is 80-20. After we get through cooking it, we'll drain it off real good. And we'll be adding some of our home canned crushed tomatoes. And we also add about a tablespoon of garlic salt and about 2 tablespoons of cumin, about a tablespoon of paprika, and a tablespoon of chili powder. And we stir it all around, incorporating everything. Let it simmer for about 20 minutes before we start putting it in jars. Now there's a line down at the bottom. It's the first line up, and that'll be 3 quarts of water. So I add 3 quarts to the bottom of my canner. And of course, don't forget to put the rack down at the bottom. It's just a little rack, you can see it there. It's just to hold the jars off of the bottom of the canner. And that brought us to the 3-quart line. Now I'll put a little water in the bottom of my jars, and I'm going to set it around in the canner. This temperature is going to come up just on a medium, about 180 degrees to keep my jars warm, so I can fill the product into some hot jars. Remember to use clean jars. Wash them in warm soapy water. Rinse them good. Now we'll put the rubber seal on. It is very easy to put in, no trouble at all. And once I get it in, I always put a little oil around the edge of it, a little olive oil or vegetable oil to help when you twist it on the canner. And you want to make sure the little vent spout is not plugged up. Always check it. That's the spout where we set the weighted gauge and the steam comes out. And now we're applying a little bit of oil on the rubber gasket. If you use the dial gauge, the weight that's on there is the one you want to use. It came with the canner. This is the adjustable weighted gauge. Okay, I'm skimming off a little bit of the oil that's come to the top, the grease, skimming it off so when we go to can it, when it's in the processor, it's going to be releasing pressure, and we don't want that oil to get up under that lid and not seal. Now we're going to start filling these hot jars with our chili, and you want to leave a 1-inch head space. Move our funnel over to a new jar and move this jar out of our way so we can fill another one here. And again, I just made the chili, the base. When I get down a jar of this, I put it in a pot to warm up. Then I may add some pinto beans, corn, celery, maybe more onion, some black beans at that time when I'm heating it up. And once you add your other ingredients after you open a jar, you can thicken it up, whatever you want to do. Usually when you add to it, it's going to get a little thicker. Cook it down a little bit, and you can make chili dogs. All I can tell you, it sure is good. After our jars are filled, we wipe down the rims of the jars with a clean paper towel with vinegar. And then we place our lids and rings on there and tighten them down, finger snug. After we get our lids and rings on there, we'll move the jars to the canner. I think that hand signal meant hot. And we'll get this ring on here and tighten it down, finger snug. Okay, we have all of our jars in the canner, which is a total of 7. We're going to place the lid on here, line up the arrows. And then we'll push down a little bit and twist until it stops. Now we'll turn the heat up, watch the vent, and when steam starts coming out of it, we'll time it for 10 minutes. And that little button will pop up, which will lock the lid on, and you know there's pressure inside too. That little plug I'm pointing at to the back there, that's a safety plug. If too much pressure gets in here, it'll blow out. I've never had a problem though. And this is the adjustable weighted gauge. It's 5, 10, 15 pounds pressure. A little blurry, but we got our pressure coming out and we let it vent for 10 minutes. Now we're going to wait for the little weighted gauge to start jiggling. And then when it starts jiggling, we'll start our time. Well, now that it started rocking, we'll set our time. I believe we'll set it's for 1 hour and 15 minutes with the 75 minutes. Looks like we got about 18 minutes left. Okay, it's been 1 hour and 15 minutes. We're going to cut off the heat and let it cool to 0. And it looks like everything's dropped. The little button's dropped. The jiggler's not jiggling. All the pressure's off of it, so it'd be safe to open now. When opening the lid, open it and lift it away from you so the steam doesn't come out, because this thing got up to 240 degrees Fahrenheit in there. Now we'll set them on the towel we have on the counter to let them cool. And usually after the pressure canner has dropped to 0, I'll usually let it cool for another 5 to 10 minutes before opening the lid, just to let them cool down a little more. And they're still going to be hot, and most of the time it doesn't show it here, but they'll still be boiling and cooking when you set them over on the counter. So it gets pretty hot in there. These have set and cooled for a while. I'm checking to see if they've sealed, and it looks like they've all sealed. And I've actually canned a total of 9 jars, so anyway. We removed the rings, wipe them down. Now we'll date them and put them in the pantry. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, I hope you consider subscribing. I hope each and every one has a wonderful day.